Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Maze. I am the Master of Mazes, Carl. With me, as always, is my son, the Apprentice, Stephen,
Howdy.
and we welcome all of you here. Let's jump right into things.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we would like to give a shout out to our sponsor, who has been our sponsor all along,
Mm-hmm.
and we probably don't pay homage to enough. That would be our friends over at W Energy Drink.
Yep.
We'll have a link down in the show notes for you guys if you want to check them out.
Mm.
We do have a discount if you go through our site. There's a discount code you can use to get a discount on our product. Our product is great.
Mm-hmm.
So check them out. But let's talk about our games. Kingdom of Keshinar has been on hold for a couple of weeks while our friends Mandy and Eric have been out of town. They've been on vacation out of the country, but they return this Friday, the 31st. So we'll be back at the table. I do owe you guys a recap, and I apologize for not getting it up on the website sooner, but I am going to work on having that up before Friday this week, at the very latest by the weekend. So look for that on our website. We'll have a link in the show notes for you guys to check out the latest recap on the site now for the last couple of sessions. Uh, they are at fifth level right now, so things are about to get exciting as they come online with some new features and third level spells. So, Master and Apprentice game. Our last recap is up. There's a little bit more to that Stephen was going to carry over into the new recap,
Mm-hmm.
which he will talk about a little bit. We were supposed to play this past Sunday, but one of the guys wound up being out of town longer than he thought, so he wasn't able to get back in time for the game. So that's to be determined when our next session will be. We're hoping
Mm-hmm.
to get it in hopefully this coming weekend. But Stephen, do you want to talk about the recap a little bit? Or
It just basically our recap. We got into a couple fights and have been maneuvering through the mire of dead men. So I want to. I'm probably going to combine what's left of this past session with the next one.
Mhm.
That way, it's not. It
Okay,
doesn't feel like I'm just. I don't want to put a bunch of buffer in there and a bunch of exposition in there because I
right,
feel like if you've
right,
been following along, you're kind of on the same. You're where we are. So I don't want to
okay,
throw just two fights into a recap and call it good, move on. I'm probably just going to combine
yeah,
that. So that next
that's
recap
good.
will probably come up right after the next session. You'll get kind of a bolstered extra recap.
There you go. Order the Flagon. The recap is up on the website now. We just posted that this past week. We do have another session that just happened this past Saturday. So I owe you guys a recap for that. That'll be coming soon, hopefully before the end of the weekend. Our next session may be this coming Sunday. I'm just waiting on confirmation from one other player. But we had a great time. The players have taken on a new challenge. They are basically hunting down a band of orcs that had basically encroached into the Daylands, ran afoul of some of the Daylands defenders, but it looks like some survivors managed to make their way back to the Thunder Peaks and may be stirring up trouble. So the players have been tasked by their mentor and benefactor to go out and look and see exactly what are these orcs up to. Are they a threat? Are they not a threat? And then report back. And of course, the party decides what better way to do it than having a couple of us become invisible, sneak into the camp that's full of orcs and ogres and everything else. What could possibly go wrong? Find out in the recap. So we should be playing again, hopefully this coming weekend. If not, I'll keep you guys posted. But that's it for our games currently. Let's jump into some TTRPG news. I was surprised, but not completely caught unaware that the Marvel Universe, which if you keep up with comics, there has been talk about Godzilla against like the DC Universe, Godzilla versus the Marvel Universe. Well, apparently, the fine folks over at that do the Marvel game, the multiverse role playing game, have decided to introduce the Marvel Multiverse role playing game Godzilla. So what that means is there are going to be new rules and maps that will be added to the current role playing game that will be specifically for kaiju battles, kaiju rules, things like that. I'm pretty excited about the fact that it's going to bring in stat blocks for Godzilla, of course, for Mothra, and then, of course, for Fin Fang Foom, who is the original kaiju and has been around since I think the 60s or 70s in Marvel. Fights Iron Man a lot. And I think even the Fantastic Four at one point. But that will be interesting to see a stat block for him and see what kind of new opportunities that presents in that role playing game. That looks pretty exciting. We'll have a link down in the show notes for you guys to check that out. We found that news over in EN World. Something that's a little disappointing and a little disheartening when you take it with some other news that's been occurring over the last 6 or 7 months. Paizo has decided that they are going to end their relationship with the archives of Nethys. If you are a Pathfinder or a Starfinder player, odds are that you have heard of the archives of Nethys. If you have, most likely you're using it as a resource for building your characters, playing your characters, finding information on spells, feats, and everything like that. Everything is over there. It's a great resource for your characters. Unfortunately, Paizo, after 8 years, has decided they're going to end that relationship. They are citing financial reasons as the cause. As we all know, back in the last quarter of last year or first quarter of this year, Diamond Distributors announced bankruptcy. Unfortunately, that tied up a lot of inventory for folks, especially Paizo. And apparently, that that stock is kind of in limbo as courts decide: can Paizo seize it? Can their creditors seize it? But for whatever reason, it's not being released back to its owner. And unfortunately, that has put Paizo in a really bad financial crunch. That led to the layoff of 12 employees just last month in June, and I don't know that this is going to be the end of it. There's also been announced that Paizo has paused their support for Foundry VYY. Um, so that's disheartening. I hate to see it because Paizo, I think, is a great company. I think they put out a great product. I hope this isn't a death knell for them. So, what are your thoughts, Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a shame to see when a company is kind of affected by things outside of their direct control. I mean, obviously the Archives of Nethys thing, you take that, with a grain of salt. I don't know a lot about why that partnership fell apart, other than maybe some royalty stuff. But, having Diamond Comics kind of have to make this financial move, and that is impacting not just Paizo, but a lot of other companies, and a lot of them are smaller than Paizo. So this is going to be rippled effect throughout the entire gaming space. Probably projects that you aren't even aware are utilizing that same
Right.
service or that same distributor. You're going to start seeing that stuff kind of echo through this, and it's sad to see because Paizo might have played all their cards the best way they could. It might not be a slip up or a mistake that was necessarily indicative of something that they've done business wise that they are
Right.
now going to have to tackle and fight with for a while. I hope
Yeah.
the same thing. I hope for every company like this, especially Paizo, because they've always seemed to be the more consumer-friendly company. To see them kind of get affected by this sucks. So I hope everybody makes it out okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad. I know that when this news broke and I caught it on Clownfish TV, I know that Stephen Glicker from Roll for Combat, and many of you know him from there. The Roll for Combat podcast, he had a link, or he had a video out on YouTube on his site where he was talking about the financial impact to him because he was using Diamond Distributors and some of his stock was tied up with them. And for a small content creator like Stephen, that's and I know he said it was basically his hands were tied. There wasn't really anything he could do because it's tied up
Mm-hmm.
in legalities. So it's sad. I hate to see people taking a hit for other people's mistakes, but unfortunately, that seems to be the way of big business. So,
Yeah, I would keep your
but
eyes
anyway,
on basically all of the space because this is going to hit
yes,
a lot of people, a lot of Kickstarters, a lot of smaller
yes,
creators. If Paizo, even though they're one of the smaller of the big three TTRPG companies, um,
hmm
if it's going to hit them that hard, think about the folks that are trying to get a Kickstarter rolling, and or
yeah,
or or what about the people that were about to and now they're like, oh man, maybe
now
I
what do I do?
shouldn't.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then I don't even know how many Kickstarters might be tied up
Oh,
with
I
Diamond
mean,
Distributor. I don't know if they do fulfillment or not, but
I don't know,
it's
or I
still
mean, but like
scary
it's
to think
still
about.
like it still kind of spells the maybe some of the turmoils that people don't really think about when they think about like a hobby, like getting into the business side of
Right,
a hobby. Um,
right,
a lot of people are just so excited to get like an IP that they're really passionate about off the floor, and then to see something like this affecting such a big company. Again,
yeah,
even though Paizo's seen as like the underdog, they are still a bigger company than anybody on Kickstarter. So
yeah,
it's scary. So I just like I said, I hope they get out of it. I hope You know, no matter what,
I hope so
everybody
too.
kind of makes it out clean and keeps on rolling.
I hope so too. But that's a great segue to get into our Kickstarter backer kits that we're following. If you are not familiar with Deathbringer and Professor DungeonMaster, you probably should familiarize yourself. He has a very successful backer kit campaign right now for his rules light, kind of very dangerous and
Mm-hmm.
deadly version of Dungeons and Dragons that he plays at his own table. It is called Deathbringer. That is on his. That's up on Backerkit right now. And as of the last time we checked, just before recording, he was at a little over $1.1 million in backers so far. So he is definitely fully funded, and he's got like 20 days left. So who knows how much higher that's going to go? But I backed at the highest level. Well, no, I'm sorry. I backed at like the third highest level. We didn't really want a Deathbringer statue, but definitely backed at the high level where I get the books and everything else because I'm pretty excited about those. I like his concept of the small circular combat playing area where he uses near, close, and far as the three ranges for things, and that's basically what drives your combat. It's supposed to be a
I
very real
love
fight
that. I
system.
love that mechanic. And not
Yep.
to toot my own horn, but if you look at, I
Yep.
was like theory crafting a TTRPG,
Yes.
and Dad's
Yes.
probably read it, and that's exactly how I also did
Yes.
combat. Because to me,
Yeah.
it's like just enough to distinguish different kinds of fighting while not
Right.
making it crunchy. So when I
Making it
read that, I was
crunchy
like,
and
dude, this
yeah.
is what I'm talking about. Like, this is
Yeah,
what I'm
it's
talking about.
great stuff, and I'm pretty excited about it. We'll have a link down in the show notes for you guys if you want to go over and check it out and possibly back it. Professor Dungeon Master is a great guy. I love his stuff. He's got a YouTube channel, so check him out. We'll have a link in the show notes for you guys.
This seems to me
Uh,
like if somebody that was in charge of making the Doom video games made Dungeons and
yeah,
Dragons, and it's just like over the
yeah,
top, big crits, massive
yeah,
damage, just going
yeah.
going
It's
all in.
it's his own homebrew rules. He started with D&D, and he
I love
loves
it.
D&D. But he wanted something that was faster, lighter on rules, kept combat flowing, and didn't need for players to go back and run through 2 or 3 pages of character sheets and
Hmm.
have to have a player's handbook and all. They basically have a character sheet that will fit on like a 5x7 index card,
Perfect.
and they don't need to look at the rules. Everything's on that index card, and they are good. One little cheat sheet maybe for things. That's it, and they're rolling, and it's fast paced. It's quick. I've watched a couple of his videos where he talks about the combat.
Hmm.
Sounds pretty exciting, so I'm definitely interested in trying it out.
Yep.
So, um, we also want to talk about. We don't normally talk a lot about sci-fi, but there is a interesting one on Kickstarter right now called Watchtower, the role-playing game.
Hmm.
This to me looks like kind of a cross between like Gamma World and maybe like a Star Frontiers. This is a rules light TTRPG that is set in a very dark, realistic science fiction setting where players can basically help shape the future. It looks really interesting. They say that the premise for the fall of mankind is something that's very realistic and kind of looming. So I'm guessing either nuclear warfare, cyber attacks, or maybe something like AI or something like that. But anyway, it sounds pretty exciting. I was kind of intrigued when I saw that it's being done by a very small company called Rook Gaming LLC, which is based out of mine and Steven's home state of Virginia in the town of Fredericksburg.
Hmm.
So we'll have a link down the show notes for you guys to check that out. It does look interesting, so we're going to be following this one. So let's jump into some movie, games, and pop culture news. Um, I can't say that I'm surprised to report that Batman Part 2 is delayed. I don't know that they ever officially delayed it. It just seems like it's been taking forever for it to come out. And now they're saying that it's not due to a production or filming issue. They're saying that the reason for the delay is due to the acquisition of Warner Brothers by Paramount, which now is tied up in litigation. And as of late last week, I believe a judge has appointed a some kind of an order to basically halt that sale moving forward for a minimum of 14 days. So not this week, but I think first week of August is when that's lifted. But they've delayed it for at least another 2 weeks. Um, I don't know what's going on. This movie, I think the last movie came out in 2020, didn't it, Steven?
It was like
2020 or
2021 or
2021.
20. Yeah.
So it's been 4+ years, maybe 5 years since the last movie. Um, and now they're saying that this could delay it up to 2028.
Yep.
So that's not good, especially with all the other misses that DC seems to have had recently. But we'll see where it goes. They're saying that the rumors are the villain will be Mr. Freeze, if it ever makes it. Let's see. We'll have a link down in the show notes to the article that we found it on Sci-Fi Now, so you guys can check that out, and make your own decisions.
The casting is insane now. They've added
Yeah,
Scarlett Johansson, Sebastian Stan, Charles
yeah.
Dance have all been added.
I'm
I mean,
I guess it doesn't. I'm kind of surprised that Scarlett Johansson went over from Marvel to
and
DC, but I
Sebastian
guess,
Stan, he's the Winter Soldier. I mean, he's over there.
yeah, he's the Winter Soldier. But I guess with them killing off, the Black Widow,
Hmm.
and now having her sister take on the title, I guess it makes sense that Scarlett Johansson's probably done with the Marvel universe. But Sebastian Shaw, I'm like, okay, maybe he's done with Thunderbolts, and there's no plans for him in the future. Because
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't think he is. I don't think he's in
well,
Doomsday.
how would he?
So
I mean, how would he be? I mean, Winter Soldier's cool, but like, I mean, if
yeah.
Doctor Doom is stopping Thor with
Well,
a finger, I
if
mean,
if the trailer that was leaked out can be believed, there is very clearly a shot of the Black Widow in there dressed in her white costume.
hmm.
So
Well, I think
I
the
mean, I don't
Thunderbolts
know.
will be there. I think the Thunderbolts are just going to be the conduit, though, that they're going to use to unleash the Sentry on Doctor Doom. Because honestly, he's the only person that's going to be able to fight him.
Maybe we'll see. Anyway, we'll have a link for that for you guys in the show notes if you want to check it out. Marathon, the game director for the game Marathon,
Hmm.
he has left Bungie at a time that's probably not very beneficial to the company.
Hmm.
So the game director Joe Ziegler announced that he is departing from Bungie for a new job, um, and that Del Shafi the third, who is his former assistant game director, will now be succeeding him. What does this mean for Bungie? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
Bungie's had a lot of issues. They're already in trouble, and now for their lead game designer on a game that they've been working on for a while to bail, like mid-project, that's not good news. So
Yeah, I mean, Destiny 2 has been floundering for a while in this state of like, oh, we're done with it. Oh, wait, we're not quite done with it. So people have kind of
yeah,
moved on. I mean, I know a couple of my friends have gone back and played it, and it feels good. Bungie games feel good, but
yeah,
there's not a lot of meat on the bones left. I mean, that's an older game now, which makes me sad to think about. I feel like that game is new, but it's not. Um, but Marathon has just had, and I won't get into them, but if you Google it, I mean, you're going to see all the controversies, and the beta
yeah,
wasn't very good, and people didn't like this, and there was all kinds of issues around it. So like when it came out in the beta and all this stuff and testing, it was like overshadowed by its own controversies and its own like comparisons to other games, and
right.
it's a BR, which like, are people still wanting, like, are people still looking for BRs? I'm so confused by all of it. I don't know why every game has to be a
Yeah.
BR. Like, I don't get it. So
I
I
guess
don't know.
that's the wave of the future, so they're trying to get
Well, I
in.
mean,
But
it's like it is, but it is like it was the wave of the future maybe like 5, 10 years. I mean, that's when everyone was like, there's a BR in Counter Strike, there's a BR in Battlefield, and it's like,
yeah,
do people care? Like Warzone is like dying. Nobody cares about Warzone anymore, and it's just like I miss when games would like do their own thing. Like not
right,
every game has to be the big game that everyone's streaming. Like sometimes
right.
like Helldivers isn't big on Twitch, and like Clear
No,
Obscure, like all these great games, like they're not on Twitch being streamed every day. That's freaking Roblox, you know what I mean? Like nobody. So it's like just do your own thing, set your game apart, do something different. Don't just like
yeah,
follow a trend, develop it for 5 years, and then not really have an identity. So when the game comes out and people are like, I don't really love it, you have nothing to fall back on because you're like every other game. Game one, two, three are all the same. So it's
yeah.
like I don't know. It just seems like they're kind of lost, and they don't. They you know what they seem like is Bethesda, where it's like
A little bit, yeah,
Bethesda's like they made
yeah,
Starfield like expecting everyone to just fall in love with this game, and people are like, I don't give a shit about this. Like, where is Fallout? Where
right,
is because that's what Bethesda is. Like, you gave us Fallout and
yeah,
you gave us Elder Scrolls for years, and then you put that on the shelf. Arguably, when Fallout is bigger than ever with the show, and you put that on the shelf, and we're doing Starfield. Like, what are we doing? Like, what?
right,
It's like you
right.
you don't need to you've invented you don't need to reinvent. Like you have an identity. Stick to
Yeah,
your identity. Don't
it's
try to
almost
be
like
the next big
it's
thing.
like yeah, it's almost like they're just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks and what resonates with
Yeah,
the
they're trying to
community,
be
and
hip and
then
cool and try to do something different and shake it up. And it's like, dude, okay, you shook it up. Now everyone thinks you're a joke. Like, can you please release
yeah,
Fallout? Like stop.
please, yeah. Which I think now they're saying is going to be what 2027,
Well,
2028 before we see
they've
it.
confirmed that they're going to do one more expansion for Starfield because everyone's asking for that. I mean, I'll have to find I'll have to find the three people on Reddit that were asking for that to congratulate them, and then and then then they said they're doing Elder Scrolls the next one, which I mean
Right.
they've announced that for 6 years now. It was like they put
Yeah,
up a still at E3 years ago of it,
yeah.
and they're
I
like,
think
well,
that's slotted for 2027,
and they
2028.
said they're not doing Fallout until they do the next Elder Scrolls. So it's like we're looking at
Right.
Fallout in like 10 years is going to be the next Fallout game, which is
Yeah.
crazy to me because you just had like the show. More
Yeah,
people
because
than
a lot of the
ever are in
people,
Fallout now.
yeah, a lot of the people that were playing 7, 8, 10 years ago may have moved on by the time you get that next game
Yeah,
out.
and like
And
yeah,
I'm willing to bet the Fallout show won't be around
nope.
anymore,
And you're
so
gonna have
that
to
you
rebuild those fan base again.
can't capitalize on that momentum.
I
So now where are you?
That is like such a dropped ball. Like, why would you not be cranking everything into Fallout with
Yeah,
the show? Because
you
like
really should do.
the only thing that they're doing is like crossovers to Fallout 76, which I will say that game is fine. I'm not a hater.
Yeah,
The game
no,
when it first came out, it was just kind of okay.
yeah,
Same thing with Elder Scrolls Online. It was kind of okay. You're taking a single player experience and you're making it into a multiplayer experience. There were some growing pains there, but both of those games have like grown into what I think are okay. Like,
hmm,
but they're not friendly for new players.
right,
What's like because if you're a new player and you get into Fallout 76, you leave the vault and there's 30 people in power armor standing outside, they punch you in your ribcage and take all your shit because it is an MMO game with full loot PvP. That isn't a great experience for somebody that's like, oh, Amazon just released this Fallout show, is really cool. Like that person should go play Fallout 3 remastered or Fallout New Vegas remastered, which they promised us and they still aren't out. Those are
right,
the games that somebody can pick up for $15 on Steam or on PlayStation. Hey, this game looks really. This game is like that show. Like, let's play it. And him and his wife sit down and play it, and like, wow, those games are generational hits. That's what they should be
yeah,
playing. Not 76,
right,
not ESO. Like the good
right,
games that are the games we remember. So
yep,
I don't know who's making decisions over there. And same thing to Bungie. Like you had the Halo show, which again I know that was pretty controversial, but I thought the last season of it was actually really good. And then they just were like,
yeah,
we're done. And then
yep,
you release Combat Evolved Remastered or whatever, and it's like it's just like the timeline doesn't make sense. Like capitalize on your show, capitalize on all these other things,
yeah,
but you're focused on Marathon. No,
yeah,
like it's like people that are making decisions at these companies are in different rooms and they're talking through cups with a string to each other. Like the ideas, it like almost makes sense, but like they're missing like five
right,
puzzle pieces, and it's just so confusing.
right.
I just don't get it.
It is. So let's jump into a segment we're going to try out. It's called the DM's Corner. We did this once before. We talked about a little bit about DM advice when we talked about session 0.
Hmm.
Today I'd like to talk about character death and find out what your thoughts are. So we're asking for some engagement from you guys in the community. Those of
Hmm.
you watching the video, if you're a DM, what is your take on this side of the screen as far as player character deaths or NPC deaths? And if you're a player, how do deaths impact you? Is
Hmm.
it something that you don't want in a game? Do you want your characters to basically have plot armor where they don't die unless you want to write them off because you want to play something else? I personally feel that character death, or at the very least, the threat of death, is important to the feeling of immersion and to the narrative that's being driven at the table by the DMs and the players. If your character feels like there's no way they can die, if anybody watching your live stream or anybody sitting at your table or anybody that you talk to about your game feels like you get into life threatening situations and you always come out without anyone dying, it takes it, puts it in my belief, into a realm of just unbelievability. And I'm not saying that it should be something that's frequent at your table. I'm saying that death is an opportunity for growth and for change and for character development, not only for the character that dies, but for the characters around that character. How does that death ripple out and impact them? How does it change how those characters behave with the world that they interact with? How does it change how the players who play those characters put their players out there? How do they change the way they behave at the table? Are
Mm-hmm.
they not as reckless? Are they more careful? Do they become gun shy? You know, these are things that can lead to some great storytelling moments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because let's face it, with most game mechanics, character death isn't normally permanent. If they have enough gold, or if they get to them in enough time where they can cast Revivify, death is really kind of it's kind of a chapter in a book. It's something that you can either sit down with the player and discuss, and the player can say, "Hey, you know what? I think I'm okay with my character dying here. I wanted to try out a new concept anyway." Or maybe, "Hey, my character dies, but when he comes back, he's changed. You know, he's fundamentally changed. Here's how I see it impacting them." That gives you and that player as an opportunity to kind of drive the narrative in a way that maybe most people don't like to go because they're afraid of character death. I love this character. I put a lot of time into this character. I don't want this character to go anywhere. You know, I want to take this character to level 20. Okay. That being said, I think it's a great plot device. The loss of a character could be an opportunity for a god or a goddess, a patron, or etc., other types of beings to intervene. We had a character in one of my campaigns before that died. Her, she had made a pact with a patron who turned out to be using her, and then turned out that this patron was the one behind the kidnapping of her sister that made her go on this path of vengeance to begin with. And he was misleading her and misleading the party, and eventually they saw through it. And then when they did, and she confronted her patron, the patron stripped her of her powers. So for 2 games, she was basically a level 5, level 6 character with some abilities but no powers anymore. Um, and I think the way she role played it was great. She wound up going into an agreement with a Fey patron who was out to get her former patron, and the way that spun the players, I had it basically as almost like a death type sequence where the player was basically born anew, and she changed her look, she changed the style of her character, she changed the way her character interacted with the world, and it changed some fundamental relationships with some members of the party.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where some relationships were going in a certain, like maybe almost like a romantic direction, they turned, they twisted, they pivoted because now that character has been changed, and it kind of changed how they interacted with the world and the players around them. So it kind of put a fresh spin on things. But a person to ask is sitting right here, well, not right next to me, but on the screen next to me. Steven's character Aldor died to prove a point
Mm-hmm.
um, in our game, the Master and Apprentice game. So, Steven, let's ask you,
Mm-hmm.
how did Aldor's death impact you as a player, and
Mm-hmm.
how did it impact Aldor as a character?
So as a player, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I think if the players feel like a sense of plot armor or feel like any detachment from the world, I mean, if you
Mm-hmm.
feel like, oh, I'm a player, I can't die. I understand like the player characters act as somewhat main characters, but that's only because you're playing them.
Right,
The shopkeeper is the main character to him. Even though I know he's
right,
an NPC
right,
that the DM has built, like you're not the main character to anyone else in the world other than maybe a few close friends. Your characters are the NPCs to them. So I feel
right,
like if you're inherently less likely to die or take mortal damage or anything like that, it takes all of the just the pressure away. Like it just take because you don't feel like part of the story anymore. You feel like you're just kind of a kid playing in a sandbox. You're like the god of that universe where you can just do things
right.
however you want, and there's no impact and there's no weight to it. And I feel like if even if you don't really understand plot armor and how powerful your character can really be, subconsciously you might make decisions differently if you know, wow, this is bad. Like I could really get hurt here and die here. Like this is not smart.
Right.
Whereas if you don't have that feeling, you might do all kinds of crazy shit that don't make any sense and might affect the
Yeah.
story for not just the DM but the other players. There's been
Yeah.
more than a couple times in the story that I feel like I was in real danger that I might, this might turn out well, but because of my character and what he's been through and what he believes in, I felt I was morally obligated to do certain things. One of which was basically you'll see it. You've seen it in the recap, but I put on a crown that is said to strike down anybody that wears it. And we were in this scenario where we retrieved this crown, brought it into this room, and the leader of this Hall of Justice was like, "Well, go fetch somebody and have them put it on so we can verify it's real." And again, my character and just kind of the things that he stands for, I just didn't feel like my character would allow that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been a part of this journey the entire time, and I'm the one that, like, or not solely, but I was part of the decision making of finding it, how I found it, and all that stuff. So I didn't think my character would do that. I didn't think he would let someone else take the fall there,
Right.
even though we were fairly sure that it was going to be pretty painful. So I did it. I just, again, I didn't think it was right to have somebody else do it. Um,
Right.
so I took it upon myself to do it, and my character did die, at least momentarily. But Dad had a really cool scene planned where I was in this sort of afterlife limbo scenario where I was seeing my parents who were slain when my character was a child, and kind of got to talk to them, and coming back, my friends and the paladins around us had to give some of their own life force to bring me back, which was really cool. Like, they actually had to give a stat point, I believe, right? Is what they
Right.
each of my
Yeah.
party members like had to give their life force in that way. Um, and when I came back, my character's a sarcastic asshole sometimes, but also like it was kind of that reality check for our party that, dude, like, this is real, we can die, like, these are very real
Mm-hmm.
stakes we're playing with. um,
Yeah.
that felt almost like the graduation of our party from, like, we were running a shop, and yes, we've been on this great tale, like, as Martin Geit says, one of my favorite artists or authors right now, take up the tale. Don't get out there,
Yeah.
get out in the world, and get involved. And we have, like, we've graduated from a possibly crooked mystic shop to, like, we are now
Yeah.
part of something greater than the three of us together. The parts
Mm-hmm.
are greater than the whole, and or the whole's greater than the parts. We've built up this thing. We have all these friends now. It just feels like the stakes have been raised, and then in the
Right.
last few sessions they've been raised again and again. So I feel like, dying. And if you had told me, like, hey, dude, your friends tried but they couldn't get you, I feel like that still was the right call,
Right.
because again, my character would never abide by an innocent person unaware of the circumstance and unaware of the threat to come in, even if, like, they're like, oh, we're all paladins, we can res him. Like, my character doesn't trust people that he doesn't know, and it went against everything. So even if it was like, dude, you're dead, I don't feel like that was a miss. I feel like that was, then it was my time to go. Um, Now, luckily, my friends can bring me back, and
Yeah.
because my character does have things I want, I want to finish, and stories I want to see to the end, and revenge I need to get. And this last session is another kind of character slash player building moment where I ran into a problem where I felt like I wasn't there for my team in the sense that I should have been. And that's another, like, again, what I find so fun about D&D is a lot of, like, character moments where your character is like, wow, this thing has changed the way that I see the realm or the world or my party members. Usually the
Right.
player has the same lesson in a different way. Like, oh wow, like, now I mean, Dad'll tell you in Discord, I sent a wall of text of all these things I learned about combat and what I should have done differently and how I'm gonna like, I took it like a Batman challenge. Like, let me go to the Batcave
Yeah.
and break down my game and figure out what I need to do. And I like to think my character did the same thing. Like, after the fights are over, after I was resurrected, that does not just go away because, oh, it's next Saturday now, it's ancient history. Like, my
Yeah.
character died, he knows he died, his friends knows that he died. That definitely changes people. And I
Yeah.
think, the nuance of that, and the fun you can have with that role playing, but also as a person playing the game, is the whole point of the game. And if you
Right.
take that ability away from players to have very real moments, it's like doing a disservice to the game. Um,
Yeah.
so
So I know we've talked about this before, and I liken it to, Marvel. When I was a kid growing up, Marvel, if a character died, a lot of times that character stayed
it
dead.
was a big deal. Yeah, I mean,
Um,
Wolverine dying,
it
bro?
was
Are
a
you for
big
real?
deal.
Like, that was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Now in comics, characters die all the time,
Yeah,
and they're brought back one way or another. Magical means, divine intervention, what have you.
it doesn't even matter
Strange,
anymore.
strange experiment turned wrong, whatever. oh, it wasn't really Spider-Man that died, it was his evil clone.
Hmm.
It's like, and then and I also liken it to Supernatural. And I'm not shitting on
I
Supernatural.
love
I
that
love
show. Yeah.
Supernatural. I love that show. But when Dean died, or when Sam died the first time, because they died many, many times,
Yep.
it was very impactful, not only to the other characters in the show, but to me as a watcher, because it's like, holy crap, this whole time it's been Sam and Dean, and now
Hmm.
Dean is gone. What is Sam going to do? Because Sam never wanted this life. Is Sam going to go back to school? Is he
Hmm.
going to give this up? Is that in the show? Oh, but nope, Dean comes back. And then that lessens the impact. And, and once they've died 4, 5, 6 times each, it no longer has
The
an
stakes are
impact.
gone.
And and the stakes are gone because it's
Hmm.
like just like in a comic book or a cartoon, they'll come back. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's just how are they going to write them back into the show? So, and D&D in a lot of instances is that way. So when I role play a character's death, normally I talk to the character beforehand if I don't know that the character will roll with it. I knew Steven would roll with it.
Hmm.
I didn't know that he was going to grab the crown and put it on his head and die the way he did.
Hmm.
Um, but the way he role played it, hey, no, you can't ask a paladin to volunteer for this, even though you got clerics on standby to bring him back if it does kill him.
Well, I mean, yeah, the way
This
my
is something.
character sees it is like it's not
Yeah,
just you're asking a pet, you're asking a person who isn't aware
yeah,
of what's going on. Like I've been here since the beginning. I
yeah,
understand. Whereas if you just pull somebody in here and go, put this on. If it hurts, let us know. And then that guy bursts into flame. Like,
yeah,
that,
yeah,
that's just, and I understand like that they weren't aware because like they're so powerful. They're so much more powerful than me that they're
yeah,
like, oh, we'll bring him back. It happens all the time. But to my character
right,
to see that was like, whoa,
yeah.
whoa, like I can't allow. That's not okay.
But a lot of times, if you watch live stream shows, and
Hmm.
I've watched a few, I don't watch many, but when I do have times, I try to watch a few. When somebody dies, revivify. It's been less than a minute. I run over and revivify him.
Hmm.
And a DM's like, okay, you're back. You're at 1 hit point.
Yeah,
And it's like,
that's not
okay,
interesting.
so that's an opportunity, in my mind, that's an opportunity missed because in this 50 seconds, that character was dead. And we all know that time passes differently in the prime material than it does in, say, Celestia or wherever
Hmm.
that player's going. In that time, because in Steven's mind, he was gone for hours.
Hmm.
But in game time, it was less than a minute because he was revivified.
Hmm.
But he got an opportunity to see his family home. He got an
Hmm.
opportunity to smell the smells of the cook baking the pies that he loved to snatch from the windowsill when they were cooling.
Hmm.
He got to hear his mother singing. He got to hear his father's voice. He got to walk in and see his mother in her parlor sewing because
Hmm.
she loves sewing. And so I got to basically get Stephen to feed to me some ideas of, how do you see your parents?
Hmm.
What are the memories you have of them as a child? And then taking those and weaving them into an opportunity to kind of put a stepping stone there for Aldor as a character
Hmm.
that, okay, I've died. This is what possibly waits me in the afterlife. And it's not a bad thing.
Hmm.
This is where I want to wind up. But right now I feel like I have to go back. There's other things that need to be done.
Hmm.
So Stephen got the opportunity as Aldor to make the decision. You can stay or you can go back.
Hmm.
And his parents told him, we understand if you need to go back, maybe it's not your time.
Hmm.
And Aldor's friend, once Aldor basically was willing to come back, that's when Aldor's friends got the green light that, hey, it looks like his spirit has not completely left the body. We can still get him.
Yeah, but it's going to cost
Um,
something, which I also, I mean,
but it's going to cost
that
something.
that whole that was easily the coolest session we ever had. Like, not like there's been some
Yeah,
really cool combat and like all that's like we've had some like even that same session or maybe one before, one right after was the huge battle we had in town, which was
yeah,
like that felt like epic and
yeah,
very Tolkien. It was just so cool and but at the same time for me as my character knowing my character's background like that whole sequence was so cool because it was like
right.
it was just such cool character building and like to have my character's background kind of woven into okay well like this is the choice you made and now like here's what's going on instead of just being
Right.
like you're dead anyways guys here's what's happening he's dead so what do you want to do it was like a whole thing it was so awesome like it was one of the cooler experiences I've had in a while.
And it has to be it because death in real life, in our lives, our everyday lives, in the real world, death is impactful to us,
Hmm.
not only obviously to the person who dies, but to the people around them, the people that love them, the
I
people
would
that
say
knew them.
more so to the people around them.
Yeah,
Real, I mean, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. So it should be impactful to that player, and
Hmm.
there should be something that goes on between the DM and the player. Hey, give me something. How do you foresee the afterlife? Okay,
Hmm.
well, I see it as me being in a field, and the first thing that greets me is my long lost first pet. Okay, so as you basically walk out, it goes dark, but then all of a sudden there's light. You follow that light. You're now in a sunny field. You don't know how you got here. You feel like there's something that you're leaving behind, but you can't quite recall what it is. But then you hear the sound of a dog barking, and you
Hmm.
look and you see your old pal Rex, the dog that you lost 20 years ago. But here he is. He's young, he's healthy, he's happy, he's running up to you and he's licking your face and he's excited to see you. And you take that character and put them in the moment and then give them an opportunity. Okay, this is what your character foresees as paradise. You have a chance to let go of the mortal coil, let go of your burden, and take this on, get your just reward, or you can leave the reward and say, I've got to go back. There's things I have
Hmm.
left that need to be done. One of the most telling moments for me in watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer was
Incredible
when they
show.
brought Sarah Michelle Gellar's character back. They brought Buffy back from the dead. She was dead, and they brought her back. We need the Slayer. We got to bring the Slayer back. We got to have the Slayer. They bring her back, and she acts funny, and then she basically finally has a moment, and I can't recall which character she told this to. I think it was to either Willow or to Xander. But she basically told them, she finally turns on, she snaps, and she goes, "You guys never asked me if I wanted to come back.
Hmm.
I was in heaven. I was in a great place. I was with my mom, and I was basically somewhere where I knew peace and I could put all this behind me. And you pulled me back, and now I'm back. You're right back in it."
Hmm.
And I thought that was so telling, that I've always felt that that's how it should be for a character. They should get a glimpse at what waits them on the other side if they do pass, even if it's only momentarily, and then give that character an opportunity to decide, what do I want to do? I've got two paths. I can go forward, I can go back. Which one am I going to do?
Hmm.
And I think it worked out well for Aldor. It worked out well for the storyline. It was impactful to everybody around them, including some of the NPCs that interact with them. But there's more stories to tell, more chapters.
Hmm.
So my point in all of this rambling is, don't fear death. Don't look at death as the final chapter. Look at it as a milestone along the way to a greater story, and think of the impacts that it can have, not only for that character, but for that table and for that dungeon master and the world around them. How does that character's death affect those that they interact with on a daily basis? So,
Yeah, I think it
um,
just keep in mind that your character, while it's your character, is a part of something much greater than
yeah,
themselves. And while a death might be the end of a certain character, it might not be the end of your story as a person or the overarching story in general.
right,
So it is
absolutely.
it is all just storytelling, and it's the one great story that hopefully never ends.
But hey, let us know your thoughts. Let us know your experiences as either a DM or a player. What are your thoughts on death, death of a character, death of an NPC? How has it impacted you personally, from either side of the screen? How has it impacted your story for good or for bad?
Hmm.
Let us know down in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys. Um, but for us, that's going to be it for tonight. That's MazeCast episode 33. If I didn't mention that before, and I don't think I did. But we will be back soon with MazeCast episode 34 and some more news,
Hmm.
updates, and things like that for you guys. Um, thank you for joining us. Thank you for subscribing. Please like the video and share with friends, so we can continue to grow our little tiny niche of the YouTube universe. And until we see you back here next time in the maze, take care, everybody. Have a great night.
Have a good one.